Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another podcast. Today, we have real estate broker Christopher DeSanto, and he is with Realty Executives Legacy out of Oak Brook. Hello, Mr. Christopher.
Hi,
Thank
Susan.
you. Thank you for joining us. You know, everybody asks me how many times is this real estate for real with all the things that's going on. I've got so many clients that ask me, should I sell? Should I wait? If I sell my house, I don't know if I want to pay overprice. What are some of the things that you're seeing with this market?
Well, thank you for having me today.
You're very welcome.
Also, the market is very real.
It is.
And it's relative. So right now there's a shortage of sellers, and sellers are getting over asking price, and they're getting multiple offers, and prices are inflated. But it's relative because in a buyer's market, when there's too many sellers, then you're going to purchase for less. So if you're selling to move up and buy a bigger house, then if the market is the way it is, you're going to get more for your house. That's great, but you still got to live somewhere.
That's right.
So you're going to pay a little more for whatever you get. It's all relative. The market is very rarely it balances out to where you get a fair price for the sale and a fair price for the buy.
Here's what I'm telling people. Tell me if you agree with this. Because houses are going so quickly, I'm telling people to try to find a house first before selling theirs. Because
Well,
I hate to see people without a house. How would you tell that? I mean, I don't know if I'm saying it right.
well, it's from the buyer's point of view, that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
However, if they have to sell their house to buy another house, in other words, they need the equity from their sale, then it's really hard to get a seller to accept in these current conditions. It's really hard for a seller to accept an offer without that buyer putting their house on the market. It's not even on the market yet. So.
But if their house sells quickly, then where do they go?
Correct. If they price it right,
Yeah.
then they could waive that contingency, which is somewhat risky to the buyer, but they get the house that they're looking for.
Okay. So it's funny because my daughter is looking for a house now, and I'm hearing that home inspections are being waived. What's going on with that?
Well, not when I represent the buyer.
Okay,
There's
good.
no way
because
that
I wouldn't do it either. I would want to know exactly what's going on with the house.
You have to. As
Okay.
a buyer, you have to check the furnace, you have to check the roof, you have to check all these things that can cause you an expense when you actually do get in the house. So I don't recommend it. However, I do see it, that
You
there
do.
are buyers out there that are just desperate to buy, and they want to move. They have to move. Some of them don't necessarily have to move.
Yeah.
They want to move because we're in the Chicago market, and you're seeing a flux of people leaving the city and coming out to the burbs, and you're seeing a flux of sellers in the burbs moving out of state. It's a real thing. The percentages are very high for that in Illinois.
I know. I'm seeing that too. I have a lot of people that live in Chicago. They're more interested because they have small children. They want to go to the burbs, and they want bigger houses.
Sure.
And I think this is a time. Here's what people ask me this all the time. Where did this all come from? Where is the surge of homes? All of a sudden, everybody wants to move. My thing on this was, I think when COVID and we were all on lockdowns, it taught people what they needed. Because
Correct.
you had children, you had your husband, your spouse, whatever it is, everybody's under one roof trying to get their things done, and they actually saw that their homes aren't working in the lifestyles that they've got.
Correct, especially renters.
Yeah.
Because they used community laundromats.
Oh,
And
yeah, I didn't think about that.
they wanted the security of having all the facilities within their home. So renters converted to buyers. Now, there's always buyers in the market. What happened with COVID is a lot of the sellers or homeowners said, okay, I'm working from home. I got a lot of time. Why don't I paint this? Why don't I fix that? Why don't we extend the deck? Why don't we get new windows? All those contractors are extremely busy.
I know that there is a shortage of supplies from swimming pools to.
Correct.
I know that for a fact because I know that people that want swimming pools, they're on a back thing. It's taking, once was maybe 4 months, now is turning into 9 months to a year.
Correct, because
Yeah.
people cocooned during the COVID era. They just stayed in their house, and after they fixed it up, they just looked around and said, we don't have to move. We're okay. We're comfortable here. So there's a shortage of supply.
They're making homes their havens. I agree with that. I see that a lot.
And I think that the demand is not necessarily up. I think it's more of a shortage of supply.
All right, so my next question, and I know that people that are tuning into this, they're finding this fascinating. Is this going to crash? Is the bubble going to burst in the housing market?
It'll always adjust.
Okay.
In other words, it wasn't too long ago it was a buyer's market. Usually it's balanced out, so it will adjust. Probably in December, from the information I'm getting from friends of mine that are foreclosure REO specialists, and I even know a process server who says foreclosures are up, and you're going to see some come December, January, first quarter of next year. You're going to see some. But then the investors are going to gobble a lot of those up.
Interesting.
So the investors will be in the market too, along with the buyers. So it may be a little more frantic than it is right now, especially if interest rates are low.
So do you think it's going to get more expensive if people choose to wait to buy a home until, say, next year or the year after?
If interest rates go up, then it would be more expensive.
Interesting. Okay,
right?
I like
because
that.
Then
Makes
the monthly
sense.
payment is going up, even if the price is the same.
You're right.
And if the price goes up and the interest rates go up, then you're paying more for your house.
I
if
see.
you're living in Cook County, they already announced that the taxes are going higher. So,
Okay.
you know.
Okay, this is nice. I like that. What advice would you have for somebody who's thinking on buying a home? What would you tell them?
I would say get it pre-approved by a lender and start looking now.
Okay.
There's no reason to wait. In the summer, there's usually a slowdown. People start taking vacations, buyers and sellers alike. So right around the 4th of July is vacation time. You're going to see that people are, school systems are going to go back to in-person learning. And there's going to be families out there that are going to choose certain school districts, and they're going to be back out there. So if you're interested, start looking now and be patient and make the right offer with the right agent. You know.
Okay, that just jarred my memory. What about the overbidding, the bidding wars?
When you overbid, it's not necessarily an issue because your realtor can do a market analysis and see other houses that have been overbid. So in other words, it was offered for $299, it sold at $308. It was offered at $299, sold at $325.
Okay.
Those are all real numbers from experience.
But it doesn't have to get crazy. So you can offer maybe $309 and be right in the ballpark, or $308.
You could, or you could even do an escalation clause. That seems to work really well, where you say, okay, I'll go $10,000 over asking price, or $1,000 over your next highest bid. We really want this. We have very good terms, and very good terms means a large down payment, not a home to sell.
Okay.
You know,
Wow.
very low on the contingencies, and that's where I stop. But there's other buyers that will add in no home inspection as is.
Yeah.
I am not a believer in that. I've just seen too much in 30 years that I would never advise that. However, in some situations, you know, if you're selling a house, a fixer-upper to a carpenter or a plumber, that's not necessarily a bad thing to do an as-is to someone who has the facilities to do that.
And I know that they're taking a lot of those on themselves. I have a lot of contractor friends, and that's what they're doing.
So
it doesn't matter because they have the ways, the means to do it. So
correct.
They're looking at it as a pot of gold for them, what they're going to turn into.
Correct. They're looking at sweat equity, and they're right.
Wow. I love that. All right.
Because it's going to cost them a lot less to do an improvement and to add a bathroom than it would be for me.
So for those of you that are a little nervous and you're not sure, do I sell my house? Do I look for a house? You got all the answers from Christopher DeSanto from Realty Executives Legacy. He is out of Oak Brook. How can they get a hold of you, Chris? He's a wonderful, wonderful broker. Give him your information.
Well, we do have 2 satellite offices. One's in Downers Grove and one's in Berwyn. But my phone number is 630-201-5588. Feel free to give me a call or a text. But anybody out of the Chicago area, the best way to go about this and whatever we're talking about here is contact a local realtor. Get professional advice on what to do and how to do it and what's working the best. And don't be afraid to interview a couple of agents. I have no problem I have no problem being like the third realtor in or the first in after 3, because the sellers know that the experienced agents know what they're talking about, and they're well worth the time and effort.
And you've been doing this for what, 30 years?
I've been a realtor since '04,
Wow.
and before that I was a lender with first-time home buyers since 1991.
Wow.
So 30 years total,
It-
and I enjoy it. I enjoy the process because usually people buy 3 houses their entire lifetime, and it's really nice to see them to get from the point where, hey, I don't even know if I could buy, to closing on their first house. And then, I get invited to a lot of housewarming parties.
And you build a history with your clients.
Correct.
From a first to a final. And now you've got their children.
I work primarily by referral. Yeah, primarily by referral. And now I'm getting the next generation. And I don't know how, because I'm still the same age I was 30 years ago.
I like that. Well, you're here. I love it.
Up here.
Up
only.
here. You're great. No, you
There
still
may
look
be
great.
some-
You still got
There's
it. I love
slightly
it.
some hair missing, believe it or not.
But you know what? I like all the great information that you get, because there's a lot of people, and especially my clients, they don't know what they should be doing. They don't know if this is going to break. So all of this is really good advice. And so for all of you that tuned in and listened to this, take his advice. It is a good time to do it. Start looking, and all will be good. Okay?
Question though. So what about the people that are coming from Chicago? Like, everybody's leaving the South, right? No one's coming from the South here.
No, not really.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, is that a problem? Do you think? Like, especially if the city's raising taxes, and then you have less population because they're all going to the South because like things are more relaxed there versus.
I think it's more about real estate taxes when people are moving outside the state.
In the South, it's even worse bidding wars. It's worse. They're looking for cash deals. They're looking for no contingencies, no home inspections. South, Southwest, and a lot of the tax-friendlier states. Tennessee is getting a large influx. I mean, Illinois, we lost a congressman. I mean, there's people leaving the state, so they're going somewhere else. And there's states that are gaining congressmen, and that's because of population. So, and consult a local realtor wherever you'd like to go.
And I always say, too, if you're thinking on buying a home, get yourself with a good mortgage broker. See and pull your credit. See if your credit is good, because that's another thing you want to do. You want to make sure you think your credit's good. You don't know. For the most part, maybe something's on it you had no idea. And this is something that I think is very, very important. So when you can do that, too, you're having all your ducks in a row.
You have to put the horse before the cart.
I agree.
A good lender and a good real estate attorney is always helpful.
Yeah.
Sometimes just the litigators and the corporate attorneys, they do a different job. But when you go to a real estate specific attorney, that's always good advice. And put the horse before the cart.
I agree with you. I'm that way. I'm a very structured person. I just don't go and say, okay, I'm ready to buy a house. I got to have everything ready so I know it can be okay.
So, yeah, my father had a saying, there's more horses' asses than there are horses. So
True.
my saying is put the horse before the cart. I kind of like clean that up. We're getting better through the generations of DeSanto. So.
No, it's good. I love it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for answering so many questions that are really going to calm people, and they know the direction that they have to go. I thank you so much,
Well,
Chris.
thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
All
Take
right.
care.